Um, at work, a poor soul at my job. He's like, um, I guess, how did Bitcoin come up? Uh, I think it could be one of those things where it's like, I noticed you're looking at your phone a lot or something. I almost can't remember. It was a while ago, like a month. He was like, Bitcoin's down, right? And I'm like, are you gonna buy it? It's cheap, you know? And they're just like, what? Like, you noticed it was down. Like, how'd you find out it was down? And they're like, or they were talking about it on the news. Like, like down doesn't represent cheap. Like, it's dead. So then, like, maybe if it went down to $100, it would be dead for a long time, right? Until it got integrated into some kind of um, n- um, network, manufacturing network, which is where I think it's going to go eventually. Not necessarily down, but into like integrated systems, network systems for maintenance, upkeep, logistics. Um, so then, why does J.P. Morgan need their own stablecoin that is only for institutional investors, which means the banks, and we can't buy it? Are they gonna let us track it? Because we'll have no way of knowing it ever exists. And meanwhile, that's just like another thing where somebody who doesn't process a real lot of information at all, where it comes to this crypto space, uh, they're doing their own thing, going around doing their own thing. They come around and they want a little info bit, and they get an info bit, and then they get full and they walk away. They're like, "Oh, J.P. Morgan's making a coin. Uh-oh." Well, I guess, I mean, they took the idea. You know what I'm saying? Um, they're gonna be competition for Bitcoin XRP. But it's funny, like, um, why would the financial institutions need a stable coin? They don't know how to invest, and like, stable coins um, are profitable. So why wouldn't they let anybody use their stable coin? Like, you don't have $2 billion to insure your stable coin. 2 billion? Like, stablecoin only needs $2 billion. There's enough stablecoins for everybody, so they don't need that much. So they don't have any like, basically the whole point of decentralized peer-to-peer, um, like automated, you know, it was not automated yet. We wanted to do that. Um, Peer-to-peer, trustless-based, third-party verification, right? And the third party is blockchain. Um, it's because when financial institutions gamble and they lose, they say, "Well, we lost. We gambled. We lost, and we need you to comp us out." But we don't gamble because everybody's mother gambled when she had you, because people die in childbearing. So we don't have to gamble, you know. Um, we have social security numbers with a letter in the front of our social security number that's associated with a bank, a centralized bank that was leveraged and liquidated, and now we have to manage your credit, and we're managing your credit, and you're still off gambling, and then when you lose, you're gonna come back to us and demand our firstborn or some shit. What do we like? We all we have is private keys, and we have all tech. So in the immediate future, I could still put my. I'm still not afraid to put my money where I want to put it until they break all the computers all around the world where people run blockchain. Then I feel safe in my investments. And as a matter of fact, so do you. Like also like want to support and even make Bitcoin simple and easy for people to use. Um, unless maybe George Soros never approached Alex Jones to ask him to shill Bitcoin like a couple years ago, because like they'll try to build it up because it wasn't ready or something. Like they wanted it to be really a disaster. Just like now, when they're like, it looks like Jamie Dimon is coming out in support of Bitcoin. Then he's really there to. He hates Bitcoin. He invests in Bitcoin, and he's trying to shill J.P. Morgan coin to make people think, oh, I need to pull out of XRP. J.P. Morgan is gonna be disaster. He's gonna just Facebook is just gonna take over. They just gotta get out because Facebook, J.P. Morgan is way bigger. How can we compete with them? But they can't execute. They can't execute decentralized platforms. They can't execute a decentralized currency. These were just. I mean, if you are into crypto heavily, then you see this video and you're like, why the fuck would I want to watch this video? Like, there's nothing on here. This video, like, this is like last week. I had seen this video last week, but I specifically am making this videos to just kill the bullshit because there are people that are stubborn, recalcitrant, like my mother, whose only really way that she's been able to support me is through driving. She can drive, and she's really not good at that. She's good at getting me out here, and I do love her, but I mean, she does everything to doubt that I'm even talking about anything that's actually substantial, that like is in. I'm inflated and hyped up off of schemes and everything, but then she wants to invest in Bitcoin now, and the way that she's doing it, she doesn't want to have any control to exercise over her trades. She wants to invest in somebody else's holdings. She doesn't recognize that she doesn't own Bitcoin unless she owns private keys. Like simple things like that are totally lost. People still don't know that if you don't control your private keys, that you don't actually own the Bitcoin that's in the coffers. You can move that around if you own those private keys. How do you not know that? There's a few things, and the reason they don't know it is because um, they're maleficent. It's like they would rather wait for somebody else to point the way to our personal and financial freedom so they could steal it and sell it to us than even like aggregate facts, to meet on this on a wavelength and establish common ground so that you can go forward. Like you need to establish certain common grounds with people in order to build on those because you're looking for characteristics that are consistent, then you can um, um, what's it called? You can rely on that person for something or another because you have to know people before you can trust them, and because believe me, like the Christ energy doesn't appreciate temptation either, and maybe he knows what you're doing with it. Maybe he's on some higher shit, you know. Um, I noticed that maybe there are people that are afraid of Bitcoin being the new world order beast system and everything, but you have to know the history about it, like how it's already been used since 1995 for offshore accounts that facilitated clandestine activities against American citizens, taxpayers, and citizens of the planet. They were using it for dark web after that. Like it went from the NSA to the dark web to geeks and nerds playing around with it gave it back to us. Now it's going to be um, now that we're using it, we don't have brigands and bandits stalking us in the street because they can't even rob you. Like we don't have to bail out these banks because you control the private keys, and it's also. I mean, I want to say it's what quality that it has is that it's deflationary, but apparently deflationary doesn't work as a currency because it's not stable, it's volatile. But I mean, you have to have a variety of currencies because um, well, fiat currencies only last about 40 years. There are metal monies that you have to have. You have to have equity, which is land, real estate, and you have to have passive incomes and all these things. Don't count yourself out of anything, um, and stop, because they're counting themselves out of one thing or another because of the belief in um, that there's an external creator God that is being mediated or that is being um, using a messenger service, and the messenger service is the best and brightest among us, supposedly. But those are just people who can wear silky white garbs or cloths with a book and yeah, the cloth over a rifle, over a gun. It's a symbol for what the Vatican is, and I think I have to give credit now because I didn't make that up myself. That comes from this theater troupe that I was working with a couple years back. Ice Life is spelled I, crooked letter Lyfe, and he's a businessman that back in the days when like I didn't even think entrepreneurship was ever going to be and something that I would be interested in. Um, yeah, he said that um, you know Islam and Catholicism and Christianity is the same thing. It's a priest with a book and a cloth over a gun because you end up fighting for those beliefs. You end up shooting and dying for those beliefs, and they both arise out of the same arrangement in that um, the slave trade and um, uh, the Moorish science from the West Nile Valley in Egypt. They traded like we the West wanted to get their foot in the slave trade, and and the East wanted Masonic Moorish science, and so we gave them that, and they gave us the slave trade, and they get holy war, and we get civil war, and we work out the shit because that's at that point we made a compromise to process data, a certain way where it concerns the natural living man rendered by the land. That that time was in Asia Minor, um, which is present day North Africa, Nubia, Egypt. God, I don't want to go into that. I was going to make a crypto video. I don't want to do anything where it spawns politics, because I'm not fucking with that anymore for a while. Because nothing ever happens. Nobody gets into a fight in the whole political spectrum. If you're waiting for somebody to make a difference with the resources that they have, you're fooling yourself. They um, placate the shit out of you. They get people to sing little chorus lines and encode yourself behind one of two symbols that aren't going to do anything. They're already doing what they're designed to do. And I'm not going to tell you that because there's other videos that do that better.